A silent alarm is sounding, but most people can't hear it yet. Look closer. The gaps on the shelves aren't just a supply chain issue, they're a warning. The whispers of an approaching crisis are growing into a roar, and the system we depend on is trembling on the brink of collapse. Soon, the casual grocery run will become a desperate hunt. When the panic truly sets in, it won't be a slow decline. It will be a sudden frantic rush, and a specific list of essential foods will be stripped bare in mere hours, leaving nothing but empty metal and regret. What you see as abundance today will be a memory tomorrow. The illusion of plenty is shattering. In this video, we will expose the 15 foods that will be the first casualties of the coming storm. Knowing this list isn't just about stocking your pantry, it's about securing a lifeline when the rest of the world is fighting over scraps. What you learn in the next few minutes could be the most critical preparation you ever make. Don't look away. When the deceptive carb, why pasta will be worth its weight in gold. When the thin veil of normalcy finally tears, the first thing to be stripped from civilization's pantry will be the simple, unassuming box of pasta. It's a silent contract we all seem to have signed without realizing it. In times of fear, we turn to carbs. But pasta is different. It's not just food, it's a psychological anchor. Its affordability and feather-light weight make it the perfect target for the first wave of panicked shoppers, those who feel the tremor before the earthquake. They will descend upon the aisles like locusts, clearing every last box of spaghetti, penne and fusilli before most people even realize the store lights are flickering. The speed at which it will vanish will be terrifying, a stark, immediate indicator that the rules of society have changed. Imagine the scene: a mother, her heart pounding with adrenaline, frantically grabbing box after box. She isn't just thinking about a meal, she's securing peace of mind. She knows that with a single pot of boiling water she can quiet the gnawing hunger of her children and provide a fleeting moment of normalcy in a world spiraling into chaos. This primal instinct to protect and provide for one's family will drive the complete eradication of pasta from store shelves. Its versatility is its doom. It can be paired with anything: a dwindling can of tomato sauce, a spoonful of oil, or even just salt, and transform into a substantial meal. It's a blank canvas for survival, and everyone knows it. The collective, unspoken knowledge of pasta's reliability is what will make it one of the first casualties. Those who hesitate, who believe the reassurances that everything is fine, will be left staring at barren shelves, the ghost of a simple meal haunting their future. This isn't just about missing a favorite dish. It's about losing access to one of the most efficient and morale-boosting sources of calories known to modern man. In the coming darkness, a bag of pasta will be more valuable than the money in your wallet. 2. The universal lifeline. The swift disappearance of rice. Rice is the bedrock of global sustenance, a food so fundamental that its absence signals a collapse on a planetary scale. It will not just become scarce, it will evaporate from the market with a speed that will leave nations reeling. Its disappearance will be a global death knell, a sign that the very foundation of our food supply has fractured. Rice is the ultimate survival currency, calorie-dense, easily stored for decades, and universally accepted as a life-sustaining staple. When the whispers of crisis turn into screams, the stampede for rice will be biblical. A 20-pound bag, once a simple commodity, will become a treasure, a symbol of foresight in a world of desperate, starving hindsight. The sheer physics of panic ensures its demise. It is compact, easy to transport, and can sustain a family for weeks. It's the first and last thought for anyone serious about survival. This isn't just a matter of empty shelves in your local supermarket. The global rice supply is already balanced on a razor's edge. Erratic weather patterns, prolonged droughts in key agricultural zones, and fractured shipping routes are choking off the supply at its source. Governments, knowing the potential for civil unrest, will hoard their national reserves, and export bans will slam down like guillotine blades, cutting off the international flow overnight. The price will not just rise, it will detonate. What was once the food of the masses will become an unobtainable luxury reserved for the prepared and the powerful. For billions, a day without rice is a day of hunger. When that day stretches into weeks, desperation will ignite. The illusion that you can simply go buy more will shatter with brutal finality. Those who failed to secure their own supply will be at the mercy of a broken system, discovering too late that the world's most reliable food source was also its most fragile promise. 3. The survivalist's secret. Canned beans as the first fallen domino. In the frantic scramble for survival, the humble canned bean will be one of the first items to be swept into oblivion. While others are fighting over bread and milk, the smart and the desperate will be quietly and methodically clearing the shelves of every can of black, kidney, and pinto beans they can find. Why? Because canned beans represent something more profound than a simple meal. They are a self-contained survival kit, a promise of protein and sustenance that requires no electricity, no clean water for cooking, and no refrigeration. In a world where the power grid has failed and the gas lines have run dry, the ability to open a can and consume a nutrient-dense meal is not a convenience. It is a life-saving miracle. This stark reality will dawn on the masses with horrifying speed. The nutritional value of beans makes their disappearance a foregone conclusion. They are packed with protein, fiber, and essential minerals, providing the physical strength needed to endure hardship. A diet of empty carbs can keep you alive, but a diet that includes beans can keep you strong. This isn't a secret. It's ingrained in our collective survivalist DNA. As fear grips the population, people will instinctively reach for foods that offer the most bang for their buck, and nothing competes with the canned bean. Its robust sealed container is a fortress against decay, pests, and contamination. In a scenario where hygiene becomes a luxury, the safety of a factory-sealed can is priceless. The stampede for canned goods will be fierce, but the beans will go first, prized above watery soups or sugary canned fruits. Their loss will represent the closing of a critical door, the loss of easy, reliable, and powerful nutrition in a world that will demand more from your body than ever before. The caloric powerhouse, peanut butter's inevitable extinction. Peanut butter will vanish, not slowly, but in a single frenzied wave of buying that will leave the shelves stripped bare. It is, quite simply, one of the most perfect survival foods ever conceived. A single jar is a dense, compact brick of life-sustaining energy. Loaded with protein, healthy fats, and an immense number of calories, it is a nutritional bomb that requires zero preparation and has a shelf life that mocks the very concept of decay. When the system fails, a spoonful of peanut butter will be the difference between having the energy to fortify your home and collapsing from exhaustion. This is a truth known to every parent, every hiker, and every prepper, and this shared knowledge will trigger its rapid extinction from public access. The psychological comfort of peanut butter cannot be overstated, and in a crisis, psychology is survival. For children terrified by a world they no longer recognize, the familiar taste is a link to a safer time. For adults stretched to their mental and physical limits, it's an instant, morale-boosting meal that can be eaten directly from the jar in the dark. It is food, comfort, and fuel all in one. This trifecta of benefits makes it an apex predator of the shopping cart. As the realization of the crisis spreads, the logic will be simple and brutal. Secure energy sources. The lightweight, nutrient-dense profile of peanut butter makes it a prime target. Anyone who has ever been truly hungry understands that calories are currency. A jar of peanut butter is a vault of those calories, a reliable source of fuel when every other food source has become tainted, spoiled, or looted. To be without it is to be without a foundational tool for endurance, a mistake that will be paid for with weakness and vulnerability. 5. The liquid morale. Why instant coffee will become a barterable treasure. Do not underestimate the sheer, panic-driven desperation that will fuel the disappearance of instant coffee. It will be one of the first non-food items to be completely wiped out, vanishing with a speed that will shock those who view it as a simple morning luxury. In a world plunged into chaos, coffee ceases to be a beverage. It becomes a tool, a weapon, a form of liquid sanity. The comfort of a familiar ritual is one of the last tethers to normalcy when everything else has come undone. People will cling to it with a ferocity that borders on the prime. The ability to create a hot cup of coffee provides a psychological firewall against the encroaching darkness and despair. This deep, instinctual need for routine will drive the initial frantic hoarding. But the true value of instant coffee in a collapse scenario lies in its primary ingredient, caffeine. When a crisis hits, sleep becomes a fractured, unreliable luxury. The nights will be filled with strange noises, fear, and the constant need for vigilance. Exhaustion becomes a lethal enemy, dulling your senses and slowing your reaction time. Caffeine is the antidote. It is the chemical edge that allows you to stand guard for an extra hour, to stay focused while planning your next move, to to fight off the crushing fatigue that threatens to overwhelm you. Instant coffee, with its incredibly long shelf life and ease of preparation, is the most practical delivery system for this essential stimulant. Unlike beans or grounds, it requires no special equipment and can be made with cold water if necessary. Its value will skyrocket, becoming a high-demand item for barter. A sealed jar of instant coffee will be worth more than medicine, ammunition, or food to a sleep-deprived soul desperate for clarity. To be without it is to face the apocalypse with a dull mind and weary body, a fatal handicap. 6. The illusion of abundance. Why bread will be the first ghost on the shelves. The scent of baking bread is a primal signal of safety and home. That is precisely why its disappearance will be one of the most jarring and immediate signs that the world has fundamentally broken. Bread is not just a food, it is the cornerstone of the Western diet, a daily constant for millions. When fear begins to whisper through the populace, the hunt for bread will be a silent, brutal stampede. Supermarket aisles, normally overflowing with dozens of varieties, will be stripped bare with surgical precision in a matter of hours. The speed will be breathtaking. One moment, abundance, the next a hollow echo of what used to be. The problem is not just demand, but the very nature of bread itself. It is perishable. This fragility is what will accelerate its extinction. People won't buy one loaf, they will buy 5, 10, stuffing their freezers and cupboards, driven by a primal fear of scarcity. They will take more than they need, creating an artificial shortage that quickly becomes a terrifying reality for everyone else. This initial panic is only the first stage of a deeper rot. The true crisis will emerge when the supply chain itself begins to die. Bakeries depend on a constant, massive flow of flour, yeast, and fuel, all of which are susceptible to catastrophic disruption. When trucks stop running and grain silos are either empty or nationalized, the commercial production of bread will grind to a halt. The price of a simple loaf will explode, transforming it from a cheap staple into an artisan luxury that few can afford. Suddenly, the simple act of making a sandwich will become an impossible dream. Those who have not prepared, who do not have the raw ingredients and the knowledge to make their own, will be left utterly adrift. They will learn a brutal lesson. The most common, everyday items are often the ones we are least prepared to live without. The absence of bread will be a constant, gnawing reminder of the world that was lost, a symbol of a system so fragile it could be shattered in a day. 7. Nature's survival capsules. The rapid hoarding of nuts and seeds. In the chaos of a collapse, the subtle, nutrient-dense power of nuts and seeds will be overlooked by the masses, but only for a moment. Once the initial wave of panic buying clears the obvious carbs and canned goods, a second, more calculated wave of survivors will descend upon the nuts and seeds aisle and wipe it clean. Their reasons will be cold and logical. Nuts are a miracle of natural engineering, a compact, portable, and non-perishable source of concentrated energy. They are packed with protein, healthy fats, and vital nutrients that will become impossibly scarce in a world without a functioning food system. A single handful can provide enough fuel to keep a body moving for hours, a crucial advantage when physical exertion and stress are at their peak. This is the food of the strategist, the survivor who understands that calories alone are not enough. You need quality fuel to keep your mind sharp and your body strong. The portability of nuts makes them an invaluable asset in an uncertain world. They require no cooking, no preparation, and can be eaten on the move. For families who may be forced to relocate or for individuals needing to stay mobile and alert, a bag of almonds or walnuts is a lifeline. This practicality, understood by hikers, soldiers, and survivalists, will become common knowledge with terrifying speed. As the realization dawns that the crisis is not a temporary disruption but a new, permanent reality, the demand for these shelf-stable powerhouses will explode. The psychological comfort they provide is also a key factor in their disappearance. They represent a sense of normalcy, a simple snack from a bygone era, which becomes a powerful morale booster when meals are uncertain. To be without a supply of nuts is to be without one of the most efficient and versatile survival foods on the planet, leaving you vulnerable to the slow, creeping decay of malnutrition and exhaustion. They are survival gold, and they will vanish before most people even think to look for them. 8. The ocean's last offering. Why canned fish will become invaluable. When the cold chain snaps and refrigeration becomes a distant memory, the fresh meat and fish counters will transform into biohazards overnight. In that moment, the humble can of tuna, sardines, or mackerel will ascend from a pantry staple to a strategic asset of immense value. Canned fish will be among the first protein sources to be completely eradicated from stores. It represents a near-perfect solution to the collapse-era dietary problem. It is a dense source of high-quality protein and essential omega-3 fatty acids, sealed in a metal fortress that grants it a shelf life of years. It requires no energy to store and no complex cooking to consume. It is the immediate, reliable answer to the question of how to prevent the slow decay of muscle mass and cognitive function when the world is starving. This knowledge is not secret. It is instinctual, and it will drive a ruthless run on the canned goods aisle. The versatility of canned fish seals its fate. It can be eaten cold, directly from the can, providing a life-sustaining meal in the most desperate of circumstances. It can also be stretched, mixed with the last of the pasta or rice to create a substantial, morale-boosting dish that can feed a family. This adaptability makes it a primary target for anyone thinking more than one day ahead. Parents, desperate to provide their children with the building blocks for growth and health in a nutrient-poor world, will clear the shelves without a second thought. The sheer density of nutrition is what sets it apart from other canned goods. While canned vegetables provide vitamins, canned fish provides the core structural components the body needs to endure prolonged stress and physical hardship. Those who wait, who believe the crisis will be short-lived, will arrive to find nothing but empty spaces where the tuna and sardines used to be. They will be left with a diet of simple starches, a slow path to weakness and vulnerability, haunted by the memory of the protein they left behind. 9. The withering vine, the disappearance of all vegetables. The first casualty of a systemic collapse will be freshness itself. The vibrant colors of the produce aisle will be the first to fade, a grim harbinger of the nutritional desert to come. Fresh vegetables, with their reliance on daily refrigerated transport and a complex just-in-time delivery system, will vanish from stores within 48 hours. The initial panic will see a frantic rush as people grab whatever they can, knowing instinctively that this might be their last chance for fresh vitamins and minerals. But the real crisis begins when the canned and frozen vegetable sections are targeted. This will happen with a speed and ferocity that will shock the unprepared. Everyone understands on a fundamental level that a diet of pure starch and protein is a slow death sentence. Without the vital nutrients found in vegetables, the immune system weakens, sores refuse to heal, and the body becomes susceptible to diseases that were once easily fought off. Scurvy, a specter of a bygone age, will become a real and present danger. This fear, the fear of a slow internal decay, will drive the complete and total hoarding of any vegetable product with a shelf life. Canned corn, peas, green beans, and frozen spinach will be stripped from their cases. The logic is inescapable. These items provide the necessary dietary balance to make a stockpile of rice and beans a truly viable long-term survival plan. Their absence creates a critical nutritional gap that cannot be easily filled. As the supply chain breaks, even these preserved options will cease to be replenished. The price of a single can of vegetables, if one can even be found, will skyrocket, making it a bartering item of incredible worth. To be left without a significant store of preserved vegetables is to condemn yourself and your family to a monotonous and dangerous diet, watching your health slowly unravel with no way to stop it. The vibrant green of a simple bean will become a memory, a symbol of a healthy past that is gone forever. 10. The sweet deception, jam, as a psychological lifeline. In the grim calculus of survival, a simple jar of jam may seem like a trivial luxury. This assumption is a fatal mistake. History has shown repeatedly that in times of prolonged crisis, psychological fortitude is as crucial as caloric intake. Jam will disappear from the shelves with bewildering speed, not just for its sugar content, but for its power to provide comfort in a world devoid of it. It represents a taste of normalcy, a sweet echo of a time before the fear and the hunger set in. The ability to transform a dry cracker, a stale piece of bread, or a bland bowl of oatmeal into a palatable, even enjoyable meal is a powerful tool for maintaining morale. This is especially true for families with children. A parent's ability to provide a familiar, sweet taste can quiet a child's fear and create a fleeting moment of peace in the midst of chaos. This emotional imperative will drive parents to hoard jam as if it were medicine. Beyond its psychological impact, jam serves a critical practical purpose. It is a dense source of simple sugars, providing a rapid burst of energy when it is needed most. In a scenario where physical exertion is high and food is scarce, This quick fuel can be the difference between collapse and endurance. Its long shelf life and the fact that it requires no refrigeration make it a perfect pantry item for a long-term emergency. While fresh fruit will be a distant memory, a sealed jar of strawberry or grape jam offers a taste of that sweetness, a crucial source of variety in a diet that will otherwise be defined by monotonous staples. Those who dismiss jam as non-essential will quickly learn a hard lesson. As the days bleed into weeks, the crushing boredom of survival food will take a mental toll. The simple act of adding a spoonful of jam to a meal will become an unimaginable luxury, a source of comfort and energy that those who prepared will cherish, and those who did not will desperately crave. 11. The thirst for survival. Why bottled water will be the first casualty of all the resources that will become battlegrounds. None will be more fiercely contested than clean water. It is the absolute non-negotiable foundation of life, and its commercial form, the humble plastic bottle, will be the very first item to be completely annihilated from public availability. This is not speculation, it is a historical certainty, demonstrated in every hurricane, flood, and power grid failure. A human can survive weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. This primal truth resides deep in our collective consciousness, and the moment the signal of a true crisis is given, it will trigger a response so swift and total that the bottled water aisle will become a wasteland within hours. The instinct to secure water for one's family, especially for the young and the elderly, will override all social niceties. The shelves will be stripped bare with a terrifying efficiency, leaving behind only the echo of a society that once took this life-giving resource for granted. The true horror begins when the tap itself becomes a source of poison. Our public water systems are intricate, fragile machines that rely on a constant supply of electricity to pump, treat, and purify. When the grid fails, these systems die. What flows from the faucet will become a gamble, a murky, contaminated fluid carrying invisible pathogens. At that point, the value of a sealed, sterile bottle of water will become infinite. It is not just hydration, it is a guarantee of safety in a world where everything has become a threat. In prolonged disasters, bottled water will transform into the ultimate currency, a liquid asset more precious than gold. People will trade their last reserves of food, fuel, and valuables for a single, life-sustaining case. Those who hesitate, who believe in the resilience of public infrastructure, will be left to face a horrifying choice between dehydration and disease. The absence of bottled water is the first true sign that the rules of survival have replaced the laws of society. 12. The staff of life crumbles. The inevitable scarcity of flour. Flour is not just an ingredient, it is the ghost in the machine of our food supply, the silent, powdered foundation upon which countless staples are built. It is the core of bread, pasta, cakes, and pastry. Because of this foundational role, its disappearance will signal a catastrophic failure in the food chain long before the final products vanish. Those with foresight will not be scrambling for the last loaf of bread. They will be methodically securing every last bag of flour, knowing that with this one ingredient, they hold the power of creation. The ability to combine flour with water and heat is the ability to ward off starvation, to create sustenance from almost nothing. This knowledge will drive a calculated, merciless run on flour, leaving the unprepared to stare at empty shelves and a future without their most basic comfort food. The versatility of flour is its curse, making it a primary target for anyone with a modicum of survival sense. The global supply of wheat is already balanced on a knife's edge, subject to the whims of droughts, geopolitical tensions, and fragile shipping routes. A significant disruption will not just raise prices, it will sever the supply line entirely. The trucks will stop arriving, the mills will fall silent, and the flow of flour into the commercial pipeline will cease. Bakeries will be the first to fall, their ovens growing cold as their primary resource evaporates. The scarcity of flour will create a ripple effect of hunger and desperation, as the ability to produce the most basic foods at home vanishes for those who did not prepare. A 25-pound bag of flour will become a family's most prized possession, a treasure of potential meals. To be without it is to be utterly dependent on a failing system, a spectator to your own decline, stripped of the fundamental ability to feed yourself. 13. Liquid gold. The hoarding of honey as a survival elixir. In the coming age of scarcity, honey will be hoarded not as a simple sweetener, but as the multi-purpose survival substance it truly is. It is one of nature's most perfect creations, a food that never spoils, a potent source of energy, and a natural medicinal compound. This trifecta of benefits will make it one of the most sought-after commodities once the fragility of our world becomes apparent. Its near-infinite shelf life, a result of its unique chemical composition, means it is a permanent asset, a source of calories that will outlast every other item in a pantry. Archaeologists have found edible honey in ancient Egyptian tombs. It is the ultimate long-term food investment. This fact, once a piece of trivia, will become a critical piece of survival knowledge, driving a frantic rush to secure every last jar before it disappears. Honey's value transcends its role as it is a natural antibiotic, containing enzymes that can help treat minor cuts, burns, and sore throats when modern medicine is unavailable. In a world where a small infection could become a death sentence, this property makes honey an essential part of any medical kit. It is also a powerful source of easily digestible sugars, providing a rapid energy boost to a body under physical and emotional duress. For parents trying to comfort terrified children, a spoonful of honey is a source of both solace and calories. A sweet taste of a safer world. Global bee populations are already in a state of alarming decline, making honey production a fragile enterprise even in the best of times. In a crisis, this production will plummet, and the existing supply will be snatched up with breathtaking speed. A jar of pure honey will become a form of liquid gold, a bartering item of immense value, representing health, energy, and a touch of humanity in a world that has lost all three. 14. The humble powerhouse. Why oats will be stripped from the shelves. Oats will be one of the silent casualties of the first wave of panic, disappearing with a quiet swiftness that will go unnoticed by those focused on more obvious targets. But the quiet ones are often the most dangerous to lose. Oats are the workhorse of the survival pantry, incredibly cheap, calorically dense, and ridiculously easy to store and prepare. A large container of rolled oats represents dozens of filling, life-sustaining meals for mere pennies per serving. This unmatched cost-effectiveness makes them a primary target for families on a budget who are desperately trying to build a food reserve before the system collapses. They are the logical, practical choice, and this logic will ensure their complete eradication from store shelves as the crisis deepens. They provide slow-release energy, warding off the gnawing pangs of hunger for hours and providing the steady fuel needed to navigate a high-stress environment. The versatility of oats is what elevates them from a simple breakfast food to a critical survival staple. They can be cooked into a warm, comforting porridge with minimal fuel. They can be ground into flour to bake a crude, nutrient-rich bread. They can be mixed with fat and sugar to create dense, no-bake energy bars for travel. This adaptability makes them a cornerstone of any serious food storage plan. For households with young children or elderly members, the soft, easily digestible nature of cooked oats makes them an irreplaceable source of nutrition when chewing or swallowing becomes difficult. As the global supply chain groans under the weight of disruption, the price of grains will skyrocket, and the simple, humble bag of oats will become a coveted commodity. Those who fail to secure a supply will have lost one of the most reliable, flexible, and comforting pillars of a survival diet, leaving a nutritional void that will be almost impossible to fill. 15. The Tin Fortress. The final scramble for all canned goods. The final, definitive act of the panic-buying frenzy will be the complete and total scouring of the canned food aisles. This is the last line of defense for the unprepared, and the battle for it will be bleak. Canned food is the very embodiment of food security. Each can is a self-contained, pre-cooked meal, sealed in a fortress of steel that protects it from pests, spoilage, and contamination for years. It is the ultimate plug-and-play solution for a world where the power is out, the water is unsafe, and the concept of fresh is a nostalgic dream. The sheer convenience, the ability to simply open a lid and eat, makes canned goods the most valuable currency in the immediate aftermath of a collapse. Every natural disaster in modern history has proven this. The canned goods go first, and they go fast. This won't be a selective process. It will be a wholesale liquidation. Soups, stews, vegetables, fruits, meats, and sauces will be swept into carts with indiscriminate urgency. The collective realization that the supply trucks are not coming back will trigger a primal instinct to grab anything with a long shelf life. The variety offered by canned goods provides a critical defense against dietary monotony, a psychological drain that can be as debilitating as physical hunger. To be able to open a can of peaches after weeks of eating nothing but rice is a luxury that can restore a person's will to live. Assuming that these items will be restocked is a fatal error in judgment. The industrial process of canning, from growing the food to manufacturing the cans and transporting the final product, is a complex chain that will shatter into a million pieces. The empty shelf space where the canned goods used to be will be a monument to a world of convenience that has vanished forever, leaving those who waited with nothing but regret.